Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to take a look at two things. One is how to generate line graphs using Excel, and secondly, looking at the idea of linear regression. Linear regression is an indication of the degree of correlation between two variables. So what I have just here is our data. We have data for 75% seawater nearer to the mouth of the estuary, and we have data for 50% seawater, which would be further up the estuary towards the river. Now, what I'm going to do to start off with is to show how things can go wrong and where students can make mistakes. We want, at the end of the day, two trend lines, one for 75% water, one for 50% water, and we want to be able to compare them. So let's see what happens when we select the data, we insert graph. We want to do it as a scatter graph first of all, and then add trend lines later on. So there's, without the trend lines just there, as you can see, we have this. And this is not right because obviously we've got more than two lines just here. And it also shows all the individual series just here. This is not what we want at all. However, if we rearrange the data so that we do it all vertically down in columns, so our three values for 3 minutes for 75% seawater are one beneath the other, just here, we get something quite different. I wouldn't present your data like this inside your results. I wouldn't use this as results table. It's better laid out like this before you generate a graph. So I will collect the data, I will insert, again choose scattergram, and we have something like that, which is an awful lot better. I can improve this a little bit maybe. I can go to quick layouts, we get different options. Don't like that one, don't like that one. Not so bad actually, I could live with that, but it's not my choice. No, no, no. I actually know which one. I like that more. Okay, so that's what I'm going to go for. And then I will take it from here. Okay, certain things I'm not too keen on at the moment. It needs tidying up. I need to add major and minor grid lines, for example. So what I'm going to do, I think the first thing that I want to do is to actually enlarge the graph a little bit, just so I can see it a little bit better, but keep it within my screen. I don't want it too big, so I can't see it all with the menu bar at the top. Okay, that's not too bad. So what can I do just here? I think one thing I might do actually is spread it across a little bit. I prefer the shape a little bit then. I can even take it across a little bit more. So obviously I can label my axes. This is time in minutes. I'll put plus or minus symbols. It's always the first one for me. 1 minute. It probably got time in seconds, but you probably don't weigh its mass from the moment. You don't take it out of the water and weigh it instantly. So we'll just say to plus or minus 1 minute. Happy with that. This, of course, is mass, not weight. Plus or minus. I'm going to put 0.1 milligrams. When we had our results table on the previous page, it was actually to 2 decimal places, but the second decimal place were all zeros, which suggests to me that the balance was only accurate to within 1/10 of a gram. While I mention that, I will change this because the IB would not accept this. You'd lose a mark for this internal assessment. All this data should be to the same number of decimal places. So if I go to the home, and I believe it's this one, let's try it, increase decimal, Oh, no, I don't like that. Decrease decimal, and there we go. We've got it all to 1 decimal place. So what else can I do just here? I'm not sure if I personally like the dashed lines. It's acceptable, it's okay, but I might see if I can change that. Format trend line, go down. I'm not sure if I want the equation on the chart either. The last time I tried this, it didn't seem to disappear. There we go, it disappeared. Fill and line. So I want it to be a continuous line. I'll keep the color as it is. The thickness isn't too bad. Compound types, not that one. Dash type, that's what I want. And I'm going to have it as a continuous line. Doesn't have to be, I think the dash one's okay, but I prefer it personally to be a continuous line. Hopefully select the other one, it's come up red, so I know that I have the right one. Dash type, make it a continuous line. Next, what I'd like to do is, it doesn't really matter with a bar chart, really the horizontal lines is only important for reading off the height of the bars and making comparisons, but this is a line graph, so I would say that the grid lines on both axes are important. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to add major grid lines to start off with. I want to go one step further, and I'm going to add minor grid lines. One thing I forgot to do, if I go back to this just here, and I choose the right one, so I've gone to the bar chart icon just there. I wanted to get rid of the equation. All I want is the R squared value, our linear regression. So I'm just going to reposition those a little bit. I won't now, but ordinarily I might increase the text size a little bit. It might just be that I'm working on a small monitor. You'll notice for both of these lines, all of our points are quite close to the trend line. That indicates a high correlation. If all these red points were just scattered randomly over the grid of the graph, the correlation would be 0. If they were all sitting perfectly on that red line, then the correlation would be 0. So that the highest R squared value for linear regression to show correlation that you can have is 1. That's when you obtain your perfect results, which you might with something like Hooke's law in physics maybe, but usually in biology, sadly, that doesn't happen. The other thing to note just here is that we have no results for time 0. They weren't in the table, we weren't given them. We obviously wouldn't expect the mass to have been 0 to start off with, because there must have been a crab to start off with. So don't make the mistake of assuming that these lines should always start from 0. Students quite often do that when they are plotting graphs by hand. They assume that the graph or the line, the trend line, should start from the origin, and clearly that's not the case. You can't start off with a 0 milligram crab. Okay, I hope that's been helpful. What I would like you to do is to repeat this procedure. Then I would like you to generate some graphs of your own using your own data from your own investigation. Now, I don't want the investigation fully written up, planned. I just want to do something simple. It can be, if you've had enough coins of the same type, maybe number of 110 coins hanging from a rubber band or something like that, something very simple. If you can't do an investigation at home because you haven't got materials, you can go online. It doesn't work in Google Chrome these days, but certainly I find if I use Microsoft Edge, I can still use Flash Media, and there are quite a few virtual experiments you can do. Maybe I'll share some links to some on Firefly. Okay, hope that's been helpful. Thank you very much.